Hi everybody, welcome to week 3. This week is all about arguments, how to make persuasive ones by recognizing what is a weak argument. So we're going to start this week with a couple of articles on the topic that you will be discussing for Essay 1. So these articles are called Is College Worth It? And How Necessary is a College Education? So you'll be looking at both sides of the argument. And choosing something from one of those articles to analyze, either your counter-argument, something you disagree with, or something that you can support with evidence. So you'll be analyzing closely one or two passages from the articles, those two articles, which are both available on Springboard. The second thing you'll be doing after you do your post and your replies to each other is to read a few handouts on the topic of argument and thesis statement. Looking at some weak thesis statements, making them stronger. So for example, if you had a thesis, if I asked you to write about a topic that plagues the environment, you could say pollution is bad for the environment. One reason this does not make an effective thesis statement is because it's really not debatable. However, if you said at least 25% of the federal budget should be spent on limiting pollution, then you have a much stronger thesis statement because you are going to support yourself with a study, you're going to support yourself with examples of how the federal budget specifically should be spent on this problem. On a very basic level, I'm asking you to look at sentences like Britney is better than Madonna. And I want you to kind of have fun with this and just take as much creative license as you want. You could, instead of saying Britney is better than Madonna, you could flip it around and say something like Madonna is more successful, or her fame has been more enduring because she fill in the blank with the things that you think Madonna does better than Britney, or vice versa. But it's really up to you. The only requirement is that the thesis statement you create be supportable and arguable. The statements that are there are facts or opinions that cannot be easily supported. This is something you'll be doing with your own thesis statements, making sure that they actually express what you want to do in your papers. So for example, if you start off with one thing that you think you're going to argue, by the time you get to the end of the paper, you may decide that what you originally thought is different now that you've actually done research, you've thought a lot more about the topic, you've read a lot more. And so your thesis ends up being either the opposite or at least drastically changed. What you want to make sure that you do after you have your evidence is that you go back and change your thesis statement so that it reflects what you did rather than what you thought you would do. So once you've done all of those things, I would recommend taking the argument quiz last because it's going to be based on everything that came before it. And the argument quiz will only take you a few minutes to do, but it is based on the thesis and argument handout assignments. There's also a short excerpt in your book about arguments. That quiz, you will be graded on that quiz. Unlike the first two, you will not need to get 100 to move on. However, you'll only get 2 attempts to take it, so you really want to have done the readings before you take it. I noticed that some of you were doing the quiz first last week, which isn't necessarily the best order to work in, especially since you should save the shortest assignments for last. This week I'll be meeting with some of you about your papers, and if you would still like to meet with me, send me an email. We can set up an appointment either in person or online to talk about your thesis statement, to talk about where you're stuck and what kinds of help you might need. You're also welcome to visit the tutoring center as much as you'd like. They have e-tutoring, and I've got information for how to do that on the syllabus, but you still need to allow for about 1 to 2 days turnover time for that. If you have any questions, always send me an email, give me a call, and I hope you all have a good week. I'm looking forward to our discussion online. Thanks.